Happy Friday, welcome to this week's edition of Only in Illinois, the weekly video recap from Reboot, Illinois. I'm Madeline Dubeck.
And I'm Matt Dietrich.
And we are here in our new office, so things might look a little different than they do usually. And we want to talk this week about the big news of Governor Pat Quinn suspending payment to legislators because they did not meet his deadline for passing pension reform. This is about the, I'm using exaggeration, 85th deadline that he set that hasn't been met in the last couple of years. What does it all mean, Matt?
Well, he set a lot of deadlines and issued a lot of ultimatums, and this particular ultimatum actually came a few weeks ago when they formed a special conference committee of 10 lawmakers that were tasked with carving up some kind of a pension compromise. And Governor Quinn gave that committee a deadline of July 9th to put a bill on his desk or face quote-unquote consequences. So the talk had been ever since then, well, what are the possible consequences? What can he threaten us with? What could he possibly do to the lawmakers? And then this week at Governor Quinn's press conference, he said what those consequences are and that he's suspending the lawmakers' paychecks and his own paycheck until they get a pension bill passed and put on his desk for him to sign.
So we're being very particular about our word choice here, and we're using the word suspend because he's not really cutting their pay, correct? That's illegal?
They will get their pay eventually, but who knows how long this could drag on. It's dragged on for years at this point, so you could be looking at a few months worth without paychecks for the lawmakers, which for some of them that might create a hardship. Where Quinn has the upper hand here, maybe, to an extent, is that imagine how bad the General Assembly would look if it convened in a special session just to override this amendatory veto and give themselves their paychecks again.
Right. And so this has some populist appeal for a guy who is trying to get back on track and who has very low approval ratings as we head into the 2014 election season. Does this help him? Do people think that this is just a distraction? We've heard from some legislators who certainly think it's a distraction from trying to really make some headway on the problem. What's the variety of opinion on that?
Well, I think taxpayers are going to be on Governor Quinn's side in this one, because how can you not be? As he said yesterday at his press conference, if you or I don't show up and do our jobs at work, we don't get paid. So the same principle is being applied here. And Quinn, too, has made his entire career out of being a populist. This is the kind of stuff that he has really made his name on.
But legislators don't like it, his opponents don't like it, they sort of derided him for it. Is that going to have any play?
It's very hard to tell how that will play with voters and taxpayers, and a lot of it really depends on will they get something done. And I think eventually they have to get something done. And what is the final product? Does it save enough? Does it really get us out of this crisis that we're in now?
All important questions, and so perhaps the threat of a late paycheck does the trick. We certainly hope that if you agree with us that this is the most important crisis facing Illinois, you will sign our pension petition at rebootillinois.com/pension crisis. And that does it for this week's edition of Only in Illinois. We'll see you again soon.